Today we're looking at the Roland JX-1 and we're going to really be focusing on the performance features of the synthesizer. This thing is built really poorly. It's got this like one-piece King of the Pirates top, and it's all plastic with obviously a Roland label on the back, so we know it's real. So the performance editing tools are made up of 4 sliders along with a brilliant slider that is large as the volume. And the performance editors are set up into 2 groups. One of them is more around filter and attack, and then the second is vibrato and reverb. The vibrato and reverb you probably don't want to have open when you're playing, but the filter definitely does allow you to do a lot of cool things while you're playing. So you can see you can kind of turn like a piano into a pad if you want and really get some like nice sounding tones out of this synthesizer. And a lot's been made of Paul Van Dyke using this keyboard to make, I guess, the only track people care about now of his, which is For an Angel. I really think it's more of a, the equipment he had at the time and his being able to make kind of a moderately boring techno track that sounds like the backing for a bank commercial in 2024. But yeah, this is the synth that was used. And that's not to say that the JX-1 isn't fun, because you can do a lot with it, and it is actually entertaining to play and entertaining to use, and certainly behind some other tracks you can do some fun stuff, and the idea of it being a performance synth makes a lot of sense. So in the past, when I really derided this keyboard for not having an LCD display, you can kind of see what they're doing. A lot of modern keyboards that we use and love do not really rely on LCD, deep nested menus. Everything is kind of up front. And I think as the 90s kind of like dance culture emerged, the need for accessing filters and on-the-fly tweakage really did come back into vogue. So the general MIDI keyboards that everybody's working towards, and the big heavy Romplers that had synthesis deep within, but not really accessible, I think were great for the studio. But when you think about like what were you trying to do as a DJ or as a musician on stage, things like this actually are kind of a taste of what's to come when you look at what Yamaha did with the CX or ANX pieces. Moog came back into fashion by the end of the 90s. Nord became a big player, etc. Now the most fun patches on this whole keyboard, whether you're in preset A or preset B, are the sawtooth, the square, and the mono Sin 1 lead and the mono Sin 2 lead. These really do feel like the things you're going to want to use if you're building techno or trance or even just like industrial tracks. I find them the most useful, the most interesting, and they do have like a really solid Roland sound that you can't deny is fun. And yeah, if you are an audiophile and you're hearing this, you're probably hating the fact that I am forcing you to hear the sound of this keybed. But Jesus, at like 120 decibels, 10,000 watts, you're still hearing this as a player. It is so annoyingly loud. The keyboard here is bad, and in a moment, I'm actually gonna like switch over to controlling it through the Korg monologue, and I think that'll be much more like nice on the ears. Frankly, I can't say enough bad stuff about the keybed here and the build of the Roland, but I still do think it's kind of fun. So when we're hearing the mono synth, all of the performance controls that we have available are the same, but of course it is a mono synth function, so you're not going to get any notes of polyphony when you're on the mono patches. But that actually makes things fun, gives you the ability to do all the things that a mono synth wants to do, and the fact that they kind of pack that into their leads patches does show that Roland was thoughtful around how they arrange the patches that a user can have here. So I think you get the picture. Now we're going to bring in the chord monologue and show how the Roland JX-1 can be used with another system controlling it. It still really does hold up. There's a big caveat though. The challenge is that the monologue, aside from like pitch bend and modulation, is not going to change any of the performance editor, filters or whatever on the JX-1. And then conversely, if you're using the JX-1 as a controller, those performance editing parameters are not going to get into your MIDI file. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but if you're going to use the JX-1 to record a track, all those filter sweeps and everything that you'd want to do, they do not connect to your sequence, which is a bummer. So you would have to record each one separately, or use it live with the tracks that you want, along with any other backing tracks that you want. So hopefully you find this somewhat interesting. If you are a JX-1 owner, hopefully it's a vindication of the reason that you kept this thing in the back of your closet for 25 years. And if you're a JX-1 potential buyer, I do think, yeah, it's fun. If you're finding it for the right price, I would not spend anything more than a meal for four at Chipotle on it. However, it is, it's still fun, and it is a cool piece of kind of vintage, weird prosumer stuff that Roland has produced over the years that probably is not going to be going down in value as time goes by. So hopefully you like this video and it was helpful in some ways. So do like and subscribe to get more annoying keyboard content.